Hey there. So I only finished chapter 6 of 1984. Still long way to go. So I thought for now, since I don't have completed the book, I figured might as well just kind of do a little more research on George Orwell, the author, and share some tidbits with you guys. So some of you have already may have known. I've read this already. Just wanted to look more into it. So George Orwell was born June 25th, 1903. Died January 21, 1950. So he was only about 46 years old. Pretty relatively young. He was born in Bengal, India, and died in England, in Britain. His actual name was Eric Arthur Blair, and his pen name, as many of you all know, is George Orwell. So some of the things that he did besides writing these novels and being a novelist is a poet. He was also an essayist, critic, and social critic and political critic, as well as a journalist. And one of the things about him is that he was a supporter of democratic socialism. And so I had an idea what it was, but I just kind of looked into it and did a little Wikipedia search on that. And so I'm going to quote you here about democratic socialism from Wikipedia. Capitalism, quote, capitalism is inherently incompatible with the values of freedom, equality, and solidarity, and that these ideals can only be achieved through the realization of a socialist society, unquote. And so some of the roots of democratic socialism is from, is that Chartism? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So it was back in the, I guess, middle 19th century in Britain, which was basically a working class movement for political reform in the UK, more towards workers' rights. And then also from Fabian Society, there was another thing called Fabian Society in Britain in the late 1800s, early late 19th century. So that's also a British socialist organization. And so there's different roots and backgrounds, but essentially it believes in democracy, but it's a socialist orientation as far as I understand. It does go against Marxist, communist ideology, and it feels that Marxists and communists and Stalinists, for example, went too far. They were kind of totalitarian, and they had just one party, and they had more complete control over the economic policies and working conditions. So they felt that there shouldn't be one party, should be multiple parties. There should be the people should have kind of central, or kind of have more power in terms of the economic system, as far as the economic system is concerned. Kind of so it's as opposed to the government having complete control. So there's some slight differences, certainly, from a pure communist Marxist, but it's something between capitalism and communism, I guess, kind of in between the two. But obviously I'm not well versed, but I would definitely like to learn more about it, to dig deeper on the roots and kind of what exactly democratic socialism is. But that's interesting. A little interesting tidbit, excuse me, of that. And so some interesting things about George Orwell is that he was a heavy smoker, apparently, and that's probably one of the reasons why he died at a relatively young age. He was said to be eccentric, so he expected, I guess back then, which it was not normal, but the working class would not necessarily have to dress up for social gatherings or whatever, formal dress up, but he expected that for himself and for whatever the working class, so kind of a little more more formal from that perspective, and more but then on the other hand, as far as tea is concerned, he would slurp tea from a saucer, so which was obviously not very, like a elegant or high end type of thing that you expect. But so he was known to be eccentric. So that's, of course, I just kind of tipped the the iceberg, so to speak, of his life. There's a lot more that I would like to learn about his life and what he stood for, and more interesting stuff about him. But like I said, until then, I'm gonna continue with 1984. And if you have any suggestions in terms of other novels or just books, could be fiction, nonfiction that you recommend, please comment below. And talk to you next time. Thanks.